Dude, we hit the wall going at least 130 miles an hour.
Hello, fellas. We're going actually right now. We're on our way to interview a very interesting gentleman. He is the owner of Selfmade Motorsports, and we're gonna hear his story, see what he has to say. I'm gonna show you actually quite a few toys that he has. One of which is a vehicle that is one of 10 or 11 that are currently in the United States. It's a track vehicle. It's a very radical machine. And I'm excited to show it to you guys. I'm excited to have a conversation with this gentleman and for take you guys along this ride with me. So let's go. This is my first one, by the way. This is my first. Last night I was actually like looking into videos on how to do like a cool, nice interview, you know, like natural interview. Because this is the first time I'm sitting in front of cameras, talking to somebody, knowingly that's being recorded.
And we just gotta start. That's the thing. It's just one of those things, bro. Like just like any business.
Exactly.
The hardest thing is to start. You can talk about ideas, you can plan this, and you're like, oh my God, it's about that time, bro. You just gotta freaking.
You just gotta do it. You just gotta do it, and that's essentially what I did with this channel. It's like I was doing my real estate part, and they're like, you gotta make content. You gotta make content. I'm like, all right. So I started making content, and I started enjoying making content for it. I'm like, you know what, dude? Real estate's my career, right? That's where like I'm trying to do. Now I'm starting to create content, and I like it. So let me just dip in to see what happens if I create content with my passion, which is cars, automotive, you know, motorsports. And I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. How do I do it? Like, all right, shops. People that came from, you know, from nowhere to where they are now. For example, you know, it's like you came, and we've known each other for what, high school?
All the way since
high school. So it's like, cars were our
common ground.
Our common ground, not just a common ground, but it was also a hobby. It wasn't a career.
Yeah.
You know, it was a hobby. So how did you start it with cars? Like what got you into cars?
It all started when I was in second grade, brother.
Second grade.
In second grade. It was one of those things, dude, that my mom's car, the exhaust started leaking. And one of my stepdads, he was huge into cars. But like dude, we were always on the weekends, we were at the drag strip. Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Like he was always like doing donuts with us in the car, bikes. Dude, sometimes I would just go to work just so I could just enjoy that bike ride from the house to work. Yeah, I'll put in whatever hours, but I just wanted that ride from house to work and from work to house. That joyride on the bike, for me, that was epic.
That was yours.
That was epic.
Nice.
And it was just that, it just started like creating that adrenaline, that like just that need for adrenaline.
Nice, yeah.
And that's what kind of like just started it.
I can share that feeling.
And then that one day that my mom's car started making like an odd noise, and then my mom is on the phone with my stepdad, and she's like, all right, here, your stepdad wants you to go under the car and start checking this and start testing this, and I start diagnosing to see exactly what's going on. And bro, the feeling of me being able to say, I know, well, I didn't really fix it, but I was able to figure out what was the issue. Mm-hmm. Dude, when I was in second grade, dude, for me, that was, I stayed dirty the whole day. And I was like, yeah. And after that, it just started like the passion for cars, and Hot Wheels just started like just digging into it. And then it was just like just that passion for cars. And one of the coolest things about the programs over here is that when I was in high school, I was able to do dual enrollment. Mm-hmm. Dual enrollment for high school as well as technical institute.
Nice.
which that was amazing.
Jump started your career.
Exactly.
Beautiful. So you were doing rollerblade. What were you going for the technical school?
I was going to Sheridan.
Sheridan Tech.
Correct.
Okay. And that automotive program?
Correct.
Nice.
And one of those things that over there at the school, they were like, yeah, well, the hardest, because we had to do an internship. So in summer between 11th to 12th grade, we had to do an internship with one of the dealers, just so we'll be able, because that was one of the prerequisites. And the school, they were always saying, yeah, like BMW and Mercedes, they're like just, it's almost impossible, but So I was like, dude, what if?
Challenge accepted.
And I was like, dude, what if? Like, what would it really take for me to be able to reach that? Because that was like almost just like, that's impossible. It's never gonna work. I like that idea. Why not?
Challenge.
And when summer came, dude, it was just persistency, until, dude, I finally got the job with BMW. And I was like, dude, that was like what went from being almost not possible to holy craps, dude.
I made it.
This is freaking possible, and I made it happen.
So you started working when you actually started working as a mechanic. You started working in BMW?
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah,
and
so
that was at a dealership, just started as a loop guy?
Correct. Nice. Well, over there, so at the dealership, I was basically like one of the only hourly techs that they were there, because everybody was flat rate. So they had me doing, because there was also an internship.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, they thought that I was only going to be there for 3 months. So I was the one that, like, whatever nobody wanted to do,
send it over to Danny.
Send it over. I had to get it done. Some way, somehow, I had to get it done. Because I was the only hourly.
Yeah.
So in case that, dude, all top off in the drive, got it. Somebody made a freaking big old mess. Oh, wait, they're flat rate.
I'm not gonna clean it.
Gotta make it happen. Yeah. Exactly.
That's awesome.
So it was just a process of, boy, a lot of people look at it as, they got me doing this. It's like, dude, everything is learning. Everything is a learning curve, and it's just, even if it's just the fact of learning patience.
That's beautiful.
That's true. Like,
that's true.
Because, bro, like the fact that they went and told me, oh, no, you gotta go and clean the oil room, bro. That was after like a few months. It's like, dude, and even text saying, dude, they've never cleaned the oil room, bro. There was like 2-3 inches worth of oil. He's like, clean the oil room. He's like, I guess.
Well, now you know how to clean oil. Bro. if you made a spill in your shop, now you know how to clean it.
Yeah. And it was one of those things, dude, that, like, regardless of the task, you just gotta get it done as best as possible.
Absolutely.
And that was also one of the reasons why, dude, the first year that I was there, I actually got Employee of the Year. The first year that I was there, Employee of the Year.
That's awesome. as a loop guy.
Yeah, just as a whatever guy.
As a whatever guy.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. What car were you driving then?
So,
like when you started the BMW.
So when I first started, dude, because back then, dude, I was going through cars, left and
I'm the same
right.
Way. I'm the same way.
So since I actually started working over there, back then it was actually super easy to get. They actually had an amazing program for employees, which was for a used car was whatever the dealership paid for the car plus $100.
Oh,
dude!
So that was a steal because they steal cars. They steal cars. That's awesome.
And right there, one of the service riders, it was a 1998 Dynan 5, which was a 540, everything Dynan. Dynan ECU, Dynan EGS, Dynan suspension, Aces Nitro wheels. Dude, it was an amazing freaking monster, dude.
Did you buy that car?
Yes.
No.
For like not even $6,000, dude.
So was that your
that was my first Beamer.
That was your intro to BMW. So that's when you caught the BMW bug
on the E39 chassis.
And you said, "This is it." That's amazing.
And dude, that was one heck of a monster, dude.
Did you started tracking that car right away,
No.
or it took you a little bit to get into the motorsports aspect of BMW?
Yeah, so that's the thing. So as I was in BMW, I was just amazed, and it was an amazing experience. But then it was one of those things that, like, yeah, BMW is the ultimate driving machine. And it's like, dude, what would it take to actually go to the track? But it was like, dude, yeah, making money, but track is expensive.
It's expensive.
That is like sometimes just a single track day, it's almost a whole paycheck.
Yeah.
So I was like, huh. And not just that, buddy, you need a helmet. How much are helmets? Woo! Okay. So that is like, at the beginning, it's one of those hobbies that, like, you think that it's not really reachable, but dude, it actually is, and it's manageable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like everything in life, right? If you put in the effort and you do your homework with it, you figure out ways to achieving what your actually goal is, right?
Correct.
So it's like at that time, your goal was to actually be able to afford going to the track.
And when you start looking at it, it's like, all right, yeah, drag racing, you might be like, what, 100 to 150 a day? How much track time are you actually spending?
Not so much.
15 minutes?
Yeah. Not
Like
even.
10 seconds
not even.
at a time? Not even.
I mean, 15 minutes if you have a
like a full day.
or if you have a full day.
Yeah, the full
I mean,
day.
usually you go to
there's
the
actually
quarter.
not that many people.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. If you go to the track and it's not packed, you can probably get in 5, maybe 7 runs in.
That's 3
out
minutes.
of exactly. That's 3
3
minutes.
minutes.
Out of 20-second car. So that's a really slow car. You
Yeah.
know, if you have an 8, 9, 10-second car, you're not even breaking 2 minutes of driving.
Correct.
You know,
Even, and for example, if you go to autocross, yeah, autocross is a little more on the affordable side, but how many runs do you get? It's also not that much time at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Instead, track days, dude, you're getting 3+ hours of driving time.
that's a lot. That's a lot of seat time.
That's a lot of seat time.
And a lot of experience that you get in just one
day.
Now, track days. What
Correct.
what's it like going to the track? Like, what's the schedule like? So you get in there, I'm assuming very early in the morning to prep everything.
Usually the gates open at 7.
7. So you're at the track. In this case, I'm assuming you're going to Homestead.
To Homestead, Sebring, Daytona, Road of America. We go
anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, I try to stay like at least within Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if not, like the trip and then just getting out of work and everything, it just makes it a little bit more challenging.
And it's a big expense. I mean, you got to travel with the cars, you got to travel with the trailers, you got to travel parts. Because if you're local, at least you can come back to the shop, pick up the part, and then go back to the track.
Correct.
If you're out in another state, you got to buy another part if you didn't bring it.
Well, that's something, and it's happened. Dude, I've also worked with doing like truck support with some of the race teams. One time working for Spec Miata, one of the engine blew. We're like,
what do you do?
Shoots, we don't have a spare engine, but we're at Sebring, but we have a spare car at the shop. Dude, as some people start taking down the engine, somebody else has to drive back down, pick up the car, drive back to Sebring, that we can take that engine out of that car to put it into the actual race car, and we got a race at 7 in the morning. We made it happen.
That sounds like a challenge, but hey, that's what makes it fun, though, right?
Oh,
because I mean, without those challenges coming up along the way, then you don't learn. Then not just that you don't learn. Now you say it's like, all right, do we have a budget to take in a spare engine?
No, and that's the thing. Like sometimes, like because you're dealing with another type of caliber of customer, in which sometimes if they break something and they're right there close to like top 10 or top 5, and another race team has it, sometimes it's like, dude, whatever the price is, let me get it.
Yep. You gotta bite the bullet and do it.
And sometimes, like some drivers are lucky enough to have families that are able to acquire that, or that they have teams that are actually able to acquire the parts right there and then. Or luckily, like we had we were crazy enough to be able to say,
let's make the drive.
You know what? It might not be possible, but we're gonna do everything that we possibly can to make it happen.
Nice.
And we made it happen.
Nice.
Dude, that day we did the engine swap, 4 transmissions, and axles. Dude, just in a spare of 3 days.
All in the Miata?
Yeah, on Spec Miatas, because we were taking care of, it was 4 cars.
Okay, so it
and
wasn't
out of
just
the
that
2
one
cars,
car. Okay.
yeah, so it was 2 or 3 transmissions on 1 car. So dude, that's the thing, like usually even at the shop, having 2 post lifts and everything, a transmission job, it might take 1 to 2 days just to, that way you're doing everything efficiently, but not crazy rushing it. At the track, we don't have 2 posts. We're right there on the floor, just jack stands, jack, and go for it.
The good old ways. The good old ways.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking off camera about, you mentioned something very interesting about the budgeting between track days and drag racing and the skills that come into play. That's a hot topic for a lot of people. Comparing drag racing to track racing, not just in the sense of skills, like does it really take a lot of skills to jump into a drag car and go a quarter mile compared to jumping into a Miata and running it, 10 laps.
Well, it's amazing because it's just 2 completely different sports, and then the ambient is also completely different.
Yeah,
and also you gotta bring drifting into the equation also, because they're all freaking amazing.
Yeah.
They're all amazing hobbies. They're all amazing sports, and people are able to make a lifestyle and a living out of each individual sport. So the thing is, starting with drag racing.
Yeah,
it's a blast and a half, but it's one of those things that even the hype for drag racing, you see everybody getting a lot more competitive. And there's a lot more like beef talk and just everybody just like
side beds.
The side beds and this and that, and it's a friendly community, but there's more like kind of like just a rival, like just like the rival against each racer.
Yeah, well, I think in that in what you're saying is that it comes a lot from the streets, right? So there's a big difference between track racing, autocrossing, than street racing or drag racing. Why? Because I mean, you're in track racing and autocross, you're only able to do it at the track, right? Because you can't just go closed off 3 sections of road to create a track. When it comes to drag racing, you can just go out to US 27 and do whatever you want at any time you want. So it's like risk. That's where you at your own risk. Facts. And I'm not saying we should do it, but it is fun, And I think that's where that grudge comes into. So there's a lot of grudge racing. It's like I'm not going to tell you what I got. Let's go run what you brung and take it into the street and see what it is. Now on track days is a different experience when it comes to drag race, because there now you have the side of competition, because it's not yours talking shit to one person and taking it to the street and see who wins. No, now you got to go rounds, right? So you got to go qualifiers. After qualifiers, you got to go to quarter, then semifinals and finals. And your car has to hold up, because if you make it to the semifinals, then now you're like, you're talking that your car is fast. And we all know if you put power into a car, it ain't going to last you. It's not going to last you as much as, stock Miata. Correct. But in track racing, you have that edge competitiveness, I'm assuming, right? It's like, because it's not you. I think it's the buildup of the times, like next week is the race, and it's a long day. It's a lot, because then you get splits into 2 days, right? Like an event.
There's actually you can have a single track day, or sometimes we're able to have back to back. Sometimes we even have 3 track days back to back to back.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So that,
and some of the races is a 4-day scenario,
because you got 1 day
practice, then is qualifying, then there's the 2 races.
Yeah. So that's it's a lot of seat time. It's a lot of prepping for it. It's not just like a lot of time finding an online race and let's go out to 27 and run it. This is more of like, all right, we got to make sure the car lasts 4 days. You know, so that's a
and
big
having
difference.
enough spare parts, enough tires.
Yeah, brakes are huge. I mean, we do need brakes
The
in drag
spark
racing,
plugs,
but
whatever happens with this, whatever happened with that, is like.
yeah. So let's go back to Selfmade.
Mhm.
What pushed you to start it? Like what told your body to say, I'm ready to venture on my own?
So it was a mixture. So the thing is, once I started doing track days,
Mm-hmm.
I learned about something that, oh man, there's actually an industry behind this.
Mm-hmm.
Track days are super fun, and there's actually an industry, and there is a possibility of me being part of that industry. And then also Lost Thursdays.
Uh-huh.
Lost Thursdays, that was a
I
blast.
remember that.
Those meets were amazing. So that's the thing. So I was already having my dream job hosting epic track meets
Mm-hmm.
in which I had the opportunity to meet amazing people and to work together with some of my best friends, and just also like meeting new people and just meeting people within the industry and getting to test new venues and try different events and just really just get more involved on the automotive industry.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like a combination of, I'm already working on the industry, but like working for the dealership is more about numbers.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of just forget about the passion, focus on numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, yes, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm making good money, but like, dude, like, they're like kind of like you're starting to drag the passion away and just
Yeah. 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 I hear you.
numbers,
Yeah.
numbers. And he's like, dude, I understand the concept, but like everybody that is on this industry is because of the passion
Yeah.
that they have for the automotive industry.
Yeah.
Because if you're on this industry for money, buddy, you're in the wrong industry. And that's why a lot of techs just start to kind of like fade off, like, yeah, that's just a car.
Yeah.
Because like, dude, like there sometimes the fact of working at the dealer is it starts to just fade that passion. And dude, I was like, dude, let me hold on, because I can't allow my passion to go away.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. So you started Selfmade in 2014. Why say Selfmade? What's the meaning for you behind the name? I mean, it's an amazing name, you know, because it's self-made, right? It's like it makes it sound for the outside person that you came from nothing and built this empire self.
As funny as it sounds, I bought a T-shirt from because I also love stunt riding for motorcycles and everything. And from one of the stunt shows, I bought a shirt that in the back it just said it's self-made. And I was at a car show with all my friends, and we were just thinking about names. It's like, dude, oh, what about this? Taken. What about that? Taken. What about this? Dude, freaking taken. We were at a Subway. I was just in line, and then my friend was behind me, and he was like, he just read my shirt. Dude, what about self-made? And I was like, Selfmade Motorsports. Oh, that would be epic. Bro, it's not even taken, dude. Like, boom.
Got it.
Right? It was just.
So it wasn't, it was literally at Subway, your shirt. I mean,
we're about
what
to
about
give
Selfmade?
Yeah, we're about to just brainstorming. And just my shirt just so happened to say self-made on top. And my friend was just like, bro, what about self-made? He's like, dude,
that's beautiful, man.
That just joins everything together. And the coolest thing about it, because right there, Selfmade Motorsports, I started the company was for meats.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even have a shop.
Yeah.
It was just Selfmade was all about car meats. And then just all about putting a culture together.
Yeah.
All about kind of like a cultural movement.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was one of those things that I was hosting the car shows. I was starting to go to track days, and I bonded track days with meets, and I was like, dude,
this is something.
And then everybody was like, dude, what if you open up a shop? It's like, dude, that is the ultimate dream. Like, what if? And that aspect, I really gotta thank the side that I was always brought up doing extreme sports, mountain biking, wakeboarding, doing all types of like crazy stuff. That, for example, if you're on a mountain bike and you see this wild ramp in front of you, by the time you put 2 feet on the pedals, there's no time of second doubting yourself, thinking. It's like, dude, because you know if both feet are on the pedals, you're on for it. All you can go through your head is, I'm gonna make this happen, and this is gonna be a blast. Because if you second doubt yourself, you're gonna go down and it's gonna hurt. It's like the same mentality I had to put into business. That is like, dude, there's no time for second guessing or second doubting yourself. Do it.
So you said,
I'm young enough that even if I fail, it's gonna be an epic experience.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Nothing.
Nike's tell man, why not? Just do it.
So you went both feet in, open up the shop. Was this your first shop? And you've still been here since 2014?
Yes, sir.
Well, when did you get the shop? Because you got Selfmade in 2014. You started doing meets. You started promoting events and mixing the meets with the tracks.
Correct.
What year did you open the shop?
It started officially like around 2016.
2016. So it took you 2 years of hard work, dedication, but it didn't seem like hard work, I'm assuming, at the beginning, because you were doing your passion, and you still are doing your passion.
Well, for the first months, it was wild. Because that thing, I kind of got stuck on that system because I put extreme hours, not just because I have to, because I want to. Because, dude, I love what I do. And it's one of those things, whenever you reach the point that you're doing something that you have more fun making money than spending money, dude, I am blessed. Just to be able to be doing what I truly enjoy doing. Man.
And I get that, because even coming, the days prior to meeting and talking, you were saying, it's like, oh, I'm at the shop till 11:30, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I was at the shop the other day till 4 in the morning. So it shows your passion. It shows that you're not here for the money, that you're here because you love doing it. The money's just a check. That's like great. That's a side thing that I'm getting because I'm doing it. But the most important part is it's your passion, and it's always been your passion.
Is the fact that if you do something so well, money's gonna come with it. And it's one of those things, like, because you can't chase money, because it's one of those things that if you're in the automotive industry for the money, you're gonna make good money, but dude, this thing is gonna drain you.
So talking about draining, when you opened up the shop, what was the biggest hurdle you came across, or the biggest challenge that you were facing off at the time when you opened it?
Because it's jumping from what was my dream job, making really decent money, to
nothing. Paying bills and not getting a check. I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner a few times. I know how it is. We tend to eat last. Our employees come always first. Rent's always due, no matter what you've done. And if you don't pay that rent, you're out of there. So I know the stress and the challenges that come with that, especially when you have employees. Do you have any employees?
Correct.
How many do you have?
Just one.
Just one employee. And
why? Because it's just one of those things that, like, for the same, like, even at the dealership, like, I saw a lot of drama. And at one point I had multiple texts, but it was just that drama and everything, like, oh, why does this guy always gets the good money making cars? Why do I get stuck with the headache cars, this and that? So right now, I'm just really grateful of having one really freaking good tech.
Nice, nice. How long has it been with you?
Years. Whew, a long time.
Long
So
time.
he was working for me then because he also has another company.
Mm-hmm.
So he also does really well for himself on the other company. So that's also like the part that I'm really like grateful for, because he works with me not because he needs the money, just because
He wants.
we have that good flow, like workflow.
Mm-hmm.
That is like, he enjoys the fact of coming to work. He enjoys the fact of building wild projects, and it's something that is like, I want to come to work because I'm putting something together that most people wouldn't want to put together, or just something so unique
Yeah.
that at the end of the day, it's like,
Good job. Yeah.
I did that car.
Yep. Yeah. That's. I know that.
So that's just epic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What was your goal when you said, "I'm going to go ahead, go all in. I'm going to risk all my savings. I'm going to risk my time. I'm going to risk everything that I have to open up a shop." Because once you decide, the way that you started it, you know, with meets and with track events, you truly didn't have much of an overhead, right? So your expenses, I'm assuming, they weren't so big or so like.
Oh, they come quick.
But when you they came quick when you were doing the meets and all that. What was the expenses?
Not the meets. So that's the one thing that I'm also like grateful for, is when I was hosting the events,
Mhm.
dude, I wasn't charging.
Yeah, yeah,
Those Thursdays, I never charged anybody when I was doing events.
yeah.
Luckily, I was able to get sponsors, because one thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is hosting events. It costs a lot of money.
Really? You see, I wasn't aware of that. I mean, I know it could cost you, you know, for the place, so that it could cost you if you needed security. It could cost you, you know.
So,
things
for
like that.
example,
Mhm.
with some of the vendors, where like some of the spots that I was hosting events, they wanted me to have insurance, to get all the right permits and everything. A large event is a gathering of 50 plus people.
Mhm.
That already starts at $650 to $700, depending on the city that
You get
you're
permits for permits.
on. Yeah, just to be able to get the proper permits. If you have anything over 100 people, they will recommend an officer. That starts, regardless of how much the city is charging for a large event, which is over $600. An officer, it starts at $350
Mm-hmm.
per officer,
Mm-hmm.
and that's per 100 people. 200 people, 2 officers. That's already 700 in change.
Yeah.
Plus,
It
so
adds up.
everything adds up. Plus insurance.
Mhm.
Insurance for a 4-hour event, it's 800 plus.
Yeah. You see, that's what I really liked about those events that you did back in the day. I remember going to a few of them, and it was the professionalism setup. It wasn't just, hey, let's meet at this shop and see what happens. No, it was pre-planned. You know, you had your insurance, you had the security
Yep.
if need be, you had the permits. You couldn't get kicked out unless you did something stupid or illegal.
Well,
But you know, it's like it was planned. It wasn't just a pop up.
and it was family oriented. Why my recipe for Los Thursdays,
It's beautiful,
as funny
by
as
the
it
way.
sounds,
Oh, it was
is
beautiful.
I want to put an event together that the person that doesn't want to attend, aka the girlfriend, aka the wife, if the wife or the girlfriend is gonna have a good time, now the guy that I'm trying to bring to the event, he's gonna be able to stay for longer.
Mhm.
He's gonna be able to be talking with his friends,
Mhm.
talking with the boys. It's gonna be the one day out of the month where we all get to gather up
Yeah.
and spend good quality time with friends,
Yeah.
spend good quality time with family, friends, and it's, wait, bring your kid, bring the wife. I'm gonna have a really good food truck,
Mm-hmm.
bro. Like, thanks to Monster Burgers, dude. Those things were freaking delicious.
Nice.
Or sometimes when we were having events where they had other restaurants in there,
Yeah.
the food was always really good. So it's one of those things. Wait, bring the wife, bring the girlfriend, bring the kids, bring them at least for them to be able to eat really good food, and spend some time with the boys.
Nice. I like that.
And that was amazing.
I like that. I like that. Now, going, self-made tracks. It's like you gave me a little tour of the shop of what you're working in. You don't just do track cars. You do restorations as you're doing on the Playa. You're doing, work on the service work on Corvette. You're prepping a Porsche for track days. You have a lot of other stuff in storage that needs to get worked on.
Correct.
What I did my little homework and seeing, okay, what is Selfmade Motorsports really outstand from everybody else, aside from the BMWs, right? Because you're a BMW guy. That's your passion. That's your niche. And nobody can take that away from you. But another thing that I noticed, and I mentioned this earlier to you, was your alignments. And you started talking to me a little bit about it. And I'm like, let's leave that for the interview, because I thought that was so interesting. The fact that you don't look at the alignment as put it on the rack, put it all straight, put it down to zeros, and send it out your way. No. What's your plan? What are you running? What are your weights? What are your power? All that you take in consideration. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of research and development.
Yeah.
In that process, because one of those things, since I was doing so much track days, dude, I was going like pretty much to the track like 3 weekends out of the month.
Yeah.
So it was track, and I was luckily super grateful to be able to have the equipment that, like, all right, what's the benefit of extreme camber? What's the benefit of having no camber? Tow this, caster that. Be able to experiment with my own car. Like, this guy says that this type of setup is better. Why? Let me try it. This guy says, no, that's not a good setup. Try this. Why? Let's try it. So it's like, all right, let's try this, let's try that. It's all about testing everything out, and at different tracks, different conditions, and be able to really know. And also being grateful to being an instructor, to be able to also have a lot of customers that allow me to test out different settings. So it's like, all right, what's the ideal setup for a front wheel drive car at this track for around this type of horsepower? What's the ideal setup for a rear wheel drive car for this track around this type of horsepower? All right, the Porsche is also a rear wheel drive car, but it's rear engine. What's gonna be the ideal setup? So that's when you start reading that it's not just about doing the alignment. It's just whenever you're on track, reading temperatures. At the beginning, I was like, what do you mean reading temperatures? There's a lot of research that goes on track to see what type of changes you gotta do to the car on the alignment machine. Because then you gotta start reading the temperature on the tire and start being able to read the wear pattern on the tire. So now you're like, okay.
So if the tire will last you X amount of laps, etc., etc.
And start just going with tire pressures and just tire temperatures and start able to log everything. So now you have data. So now that you have data, you're able to know, all right, this doesn't work, but this does. This I'm never trying again. I'm gonna start trying this with another platform to see if they also like it. They like it. And the wear pattern and the temperatures are being consistent. All right, we're getting places. So it's one of those things that is investing all that time, investing all that research, and being able to have data. That's what I was able to come up with different recipes for different cars, different platforms. So now when somebody brings me a car, I'm able to see is what's the purpose? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? I know you want an alignment, But is this a dedicated track car? Is this a street car? A little bit of both? Are we doing drag racing? Are we doing drifting? What is the purpose? So that way I kind of know what to set up and how.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
And depending on, yeah, I'm a drifter. All right, but are you going to be doing 40, 50 mile per hour entries? Or are we dealing with 80 plus mile per hour entries?
That's a big difference.
I gotta say, it's a completely different setup.
Interesting. You see, I'm learning as we're talking because I knew that the alignment was very important on track cars and drift cars, but I wasn't
Also for
aware of
drivers.
like the entry speed and where you're gonna be, which angle you're gonna run. This track runs more to the left or to the right, like how can you get more traction while slipping it?
Yeah, and even like whenever I'm on track and like customers that I've catered to, and they're like, "Oi, I had never had tires last me this long."
That's interesting
Before.
because that's all part of the alignment.
Yeah.
You know, because you're in drifting, you're out there burning them out. If your alignment is all messed up, you're gonna go through them real quick. You know, so that's
and even
never
on
put
drift
those
cars,
two
drift cars being able to see the tire whenever we take it out, and it's perfectly even,
yeah, worn out evenly. That's
evenly, and like
money. Nice.
And even when customers they approach you, they're like, "Dude, usually tires don't last me 1 or 2 weekends. This is my 4th weekend,
Yeah,
dude. Same tire that I've been using." Is like,
that's the
wow.
The importance of an alignment.
Yeah,
That's huge,
is
especially
same
for track
car.
days. I mean, if you can use the same tire
Yeah,
for 3-4 events, you're saving yourself a lot of money because those ain't cheap. You know, those tires are not cheap.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite car that you've worked on? Aside from yours.
There's a lot.
Aside from yours, because I know that you put a lot of time into that BMW and a lot of research and development into that BMW. But what's that one car that when you talked about it, it puts a smile on your face?
I take a lot of pride on all my projects,
Mm-hmm.
but there are 2 in particular that they were iconic. So one was earlier on with James from McHugh Automotive Group.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. So I was grateful to be able to work on a Bugatti. Not that many
That's
people.
scary.
A lot of people can see the car, but being grateful enough to see that I was able to see that car or help somebody take the car apart and be able to see that car torn apart. Not that many people have seen that.
Yeah.
That's epic.
That's epic.
And then when they came to pick up the car, I was there with James, and he tells the owners like, get him to drive the car. So to get somebody to here,
I'll
take
for
it.
you.
Yes, I'm gonna go passenger, but here, let's take it for a test drive. Bro, we were at 441. I was driving that thing like at 20 miles an hour. And the guy is like, what's going on? What's happening? He's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm driving a Bugatti. And like, no, come on, step on it. It's like, can't tell me that twice. Dude, I was 441. Dude, just poof. And it's amazing how those cars, they don't put the power like any other car. It's like a roller coaster. Like the traction control is so wild. It's like you floor it, but you just start hearing everything just like the power build up, like, and that car just poof.
Just
Whoo!
I mean, it's a
that was a life
the Bugattis
experience.
are insane. I've watched a lot of videos and I follow this page, Daily Driven Exotics. I'm assuming that you know them.
Oh yeah.
They play along and they've said, and many other channels have says like the way that the power comes in and the noises that the car makes. You got a V16 on the back with 4 turbos building boost. It's like and catching traction, playing here. And then on top of all that, it's a $1.52 million car. You know, you're not joking around. So I'm assuming that experience.
So it was an epic life experience.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. That's
Another wild one was we're working with Kyle from CFI.
Mhm.
He actually came down here to the shop, and we were putting a Lamborghini Huracan Performante. We're putting a set of wild twin turbos. So we did. We rebuilt the transmission, upgraded axles, two epic Garrett turbos, dude.
how much power did it make
1,617 horses.
on stock block? That's wild.
Yes.
That is wild.
Yes.
That's beautiful. That's amazing. That's a good time.
So,
1,600 horsepower.
It was
That's
such
a good
an
time.
epic experience working with Kyle here at my shop,
Mhm.
putting that monster together.
That's amazing.
Ooh.
Did you get to drive it?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
No, because we had to tune it.
Yeah.
Because one style had to go back, and then we had to do, because at the beginning, the customer wanted to keep it with the cats. So it's
Mhm.
like,
No, you can't.
that's not recommended, but then afterwards, the cats melted.
Mhm.
So the customer had to come to bring the car back. We had to put downpipes on the car, and then we had to retune the car. That was amazing. That was another epic experience.
Fun. Have you ever gotten? What was been your closest call on the track? When you're out there, because I know that car. From the pictures we're friends on Facebook and Instagram and all that. I haven't seen a scratch on it.
No,
At least I didn't post. But
no. So
outside.
the thing is, being an instructor is a rush, a rush
you're an instructor.
and a half.
Mm.
Because the thing is, I'm jumping passenger with people that have never been on track before.
Mhm.
Nowadays, there's cars 500 plus horsepower, and there's also people that think they're the best driver in the world, but it's their first track day,
Mhm.
and I'm right there passenger.
That's scary.
I love it, but it's a high risk.
Yeah.
On July 2023, I jumped passenger with a customer. He drove his it was a Cadillac CTSV.
Mhm.
He drove it all the way from Atlanta, so he had a 12-hour drive to be able to experience Sebring. The guy was 84 years old.
Wow.
So I was like, all right, it's a 600 plus horsepower car, but the guy is older. His first time ever actually driving. It's gonna be a fun day, and it's gonna be super rewarding. To be able to teach this guy how to properly drive on track. This is gonna be an epic day, buddy. The first hot session, that was the fastest that guy had ever driven. We go to pass a Miata right before turn one.
Mhm.
We're doing at least a $120 before the bridge. This guy has a medical condition. When he came down to the braking zone, we're doing well above 130, and I'm like, brake, and I'm like, I look, it's like, I go to shake him, is non-responsive.
Wow.
We're doing well over 130 miles per hour. The wall is coming up pretty fast, and this guy is pedal to the metal. A CTSV, it has no e-brake. The wheel was already like a 25 degree, and the car was still going straight. So if I yank on the wheel, we're gonna start tumbling around because we're going too fast. So I was like, the wall is gonna come to us within not even a second. The guy is non-responsive. There is no e-brake. What are my options?
Mm.
Yeah, as instructors, sometimes we talk about scenarios. Oh, if this happens, we should do this. If that happens, we should do that. But it's like, I had never had a guy that is non-responsive, and it stuck to the gas pedal. Dude,
That's
we
hairy.
hit the wall going at least 130 miles an hour. And the wall was on my side.
And that car had no cage,
No cage,
fully stock,
3-point seatbelt.
3-point seatbelt. Wow.
The guy, by the time that we were on top of the tires, the guy was still stuck to the gas pedal, bouncing off the rev limiter.
I'm assuming both of you guys were okay. Well,
Yes,
you are
thank
clearly
God.
okay, but any injuries from that
I
accident?
am amazed of the safety on track. That's why racing on the streets, dude, is really not worth it. We hit a wall going above 100 miles an hour, 130 to 140 to be, if not faster. Like the guy at Top Speed says, speed is not an issue. It's the fact of coming to a drastic stop that gets you.
Yeah. Wow.
And
That's-
we came to a drastic stop, and I'm still here.
Listen, that speaks volumes on track safety and on the car as well, the CTSV. I mean, for you to hit a wall sideways on your side of the door and be able to walk out of it, that speaks volumes, not just to how the barricades are, the tires for safety purposes, but also the car. You know, and the safety equipment that you had. I'm assuming you were fully suited. You had,
Oh yeah,
you had a
Hans,
helmet,
it's a must.
you had a hands. I'm assuming he had a Hans too.
Mhm.
So it's like all those details are the difference between walking out of that wreck and being transported in a helicopter.
Correct. That's why with safety, I don't cheap out because it's one of those things that like I do a mental brainwash.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's expensive, cheaper than a hospital bill.
100%. 100%. Wow.
So
That's a wild
that's
one.
why it's on track, dude. I'm amazed upon the safety.
That's a lot.
I've also had fellow drivers that have gone into wild wrecks. They're still racing with us,
Yeah.
which normally that's not possible. So on the street, it's not worth it.
No. That's especially that's a crazy story.
There's been on the street, there's people that have like minor accidents, but they don't have helmets. They don't have like like neck restraint safety equipment, and they get decapitated or something silly. Dude, we're losing friends for silly stuff
Yeah.
on the streets. That's why I really encourage people to take it to the track.
Yeah. And that's something that, you know, you see and you hear across the board with all these big channels and all these big people that are, you know, racers and tracks and do tracks, either quarter mile or tracks or autocross. They always say, do not cheap out on safety. You know, put a roll cage on your car, get a helmet, make sure that you have a harness if you have seats to put in harnesses, because that keep you in place, man.
And
Yeah.
also the thing is, there's a system, and putting seats and putting roll cages is not as easy, and there's a system for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, there was a drag race in which a driver passed away because he didn't have a roll cage, and everybody was saying, oh, even if he had a cage it wouldn't matter. But
I
the
remember
thing
that. I think
is,
that was in
the accident in New York,
it rolled
yeah,
over.
with the BMW,
Yeah.
but the seat wasn't there.
No,
It's like, because for example, for safety requirements, what we do even here at the shop, we drill the chassis of the car and we reinforce the seat to the chassis.
yeah, faded in.
So that seat is not going anywhere.
yeah,
So sometimes bolting seats up to the car is not a simple bolt in and that's it.
Yeah.
To be able to meet the proper safety regulations, it has to be properly reinforced.
Yeah. I remember that accident. Poor guy. I think that was just last year.
It was
almost in
recent.
the year, almost in Christmas time. I think it was.
Correct. It was pretty recent.
Yeah, and that guy. I mean, he had a very high
Fast
horsepower car. I mean, he was making I think 1,200 or something like that. And
if not more, but it's one of those things that it's a really fast car,
and you don't have the safety equipment for it. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, listen, it's okay not to have a cage in a 500 horsepower car. You know, like you can say it's not fast enough because you're not gonna get to 190 miles an hour in in 8 seconds. No, it's gonna take you, 15, 20 seconds. By that time, it's fine.
But the thing is, regardless,
you want it, you want it. But like if you built a 1,000 horsepower car, a 1,200 horsepower, it doesn't matter if it's for a street. At the end of the day, it's your safety, right? So it's like, forget about everything on the outside. In a case of a rollover, you don't want that roof. Because in a rollover at 140 miles, 150, 160, you're not rolling once. That car's going to be smashing that roof back to back to back.
And from factory, always meant to.
Yeah, exactly. Like from factory, they'll handle one rollover, but not 6. And at that speed, you can get 6. So it's like safety is huge. And I never put safety. Now, mind you, myself, I stopped building cars. I built my Supra. I used to have a couple other front wheel drives and rear wheel drive cars, projects, stupid things. And I never focused on safety.
Because it's one thing that tends to be,
and it's expensive, right?
Yes.
But I am lucky enough that nothing never happened to me. Nothing never happened to my friends. But at the same time, it was always on the back of my mind, because here I am getting into this 700 horsepower car, doing 160 miles an hour. Yeah, there might be nobody there, but what happens if the tire blows? What happens if my part that I cheaped out on because I didn't have money at the time and I was desperate to get the car up fails on me? So there was a lot. I usually build older cars. Never change the control arms. What happens if the control arm snaps? You're SOL.
Yeah.
So it's like safety. It's huge. It's huge. Not just for track days, but also. I mean,
in general.
If you're gonna be doing 140, 150, 160.
Because cars,
do something about
it. Dude, we can always get another car.
Yep.
And that's the beauty about cars. Like everything is pretty much, we can replace it with time and money.
Yep.
Us, we can't say the same thing.
Selfmade Motorsports. What's next for you? As I know that you have a race coming up this weekend, but as a whole, as your shop, as you're venturing, your business venture goes out, what's the goal for, let's say, the next 5 years? What do you see yourself? What do you want to be able to purchase or get a tool? I mean, you have a shop full of tools. It's incredible the amount of tools that you have. But what's your goal for the next 5 years when it comes to Selfmade Motorsports?
There's a lot in the
pipeline.
In the pipeline, yeah.
Nice. Because you talk about, or is there something like hush things that you're planning?
Some yes, some not. Because it's one of those things that are like we're working on. Well, because the coolest thing about like having your own place is that you always gotta be not just molding to changes, but also thinking about ways to improve. You always gotta stay on top of everything. You gotta stay on top of training. You gotta stay on top of the trending this. You always gotta stay on top of what people are trying to get on their cars, for example. And it's always just like, oh, the new track. It's like, all right, how are we gonna be able to start catering for our customers for that new track? And ways to be able to how can I explain this? If we can put a package together for somebody to have a blast and a half at the track and for them to start spreading the word, that's job security.
I see.
Just doing such a good job at the track that boom.
You got a customer for life.
Exactly, man.
I see what you're trying to do. Okay, that's a good goal. It's a good goal.
And with later on is just be able to get like more trailers, so then I can be able to start taking more cars to the track and be able to start catering to more customers at once at the track.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, Danny, it was fun.
Oh yeah,
it was great. I learned a lot. Your shop's amazing.
Thank you,
I
sir.
will, if we can do a little tour right now in
Yeah,
video,
let's do it.
talk maybe a little about the Porsche, show me a little bit about what you got in the storage, because you did mention that you had something special in there. I definitely do want
Yes,
to.
sir.
I want to put my eyes on it and see it because I googled it. I'm like, holy, that's fun.
Yes,
That looks like a fun
which it
time.
is.
So once again, I appreciate your time.
No, always, man.
It's. I know that running a business, a lot of projects. Clearly, have a lot of projects, and not just that, not just having a lot of projects in your hand, but also a time frame for Friday. Because Friday you're going. Give me a little bit about that Friday. What's happening on Friday? What event are you running? What class are you running? Who's running it? And all that.
So we got some super special because right now we're in the project of actually opening our own track days, which is gonna be Track Day Experience (TDX).
Oh, so that's gonna be your first one?
No, so the first one is gonna start after April.
Okay. All right.
Correct.
You know I'm gonna be there to film it and all that because that
Oh
sounds
yeah,
amazing.
it's
Homestead?
a blast. So Homestead, we're gonna run it under HOD, Hooked on Driving.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. That's awesome. Awesome, brother. Appreciate your time again. Thank you for taking time out of your
Always, man.
out of your day. I know you're busy. You gotta get a lot of cars ready.
Oh, yeah. So before I forget, also the one thing that we're gonna start doing now that we have like our own event, we're gonna start offering parade laps. Parade laps, so that way everyone that is thinking about tracking their car, they can actually experience the track on their cars. For example, you can bring your whole family in your truck and be able to experience the track. Somebody can come in whatever car, on a dually, on a truck, on whatever car, and be able to go on a really slow pace through the track to be able to experience what it feels to go on track.
To be in the track. That's amazing. That's a good one. So a parade event.
Exactly. So we're trying to motivate people to come to the track. It's like, wait, this is actually manageable. We can actually want to bring you to experience what it could potentially be your new hobby.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's good because you're bringing in more people to the community, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
Motorsports, there was a time where it kind of like plateaued. And I believe with all these names coming out, not just in the drag race, like for example, Cletus McFarlane, right? He just went and did NASCAR. He ran ARCA. He brought a lot of viewers into ARCA. He brought, I think it was over 75,000 new viewers just because of his name. So if you do a little events, just like you said, the parade, that will give the chance to not just the person whose hobby it is to be at a track,
Correct,
but also bring over the family. It's fun. You know?
For example, here is an interesting way of looking at it. Let's say that as you're growing up, you play baseball, you play football, you play soccer. What are the chances of you being able to play in the big stadiums?
Absolutely none. I mean,
even if you're in the semi-pro leagues, what are your chances to play in the Marlin Stadium?
Absolutely. Slim.
0 to none.
Yeah, I've asked myself that same question. It's like, because I played soccer for a while and I've always been, into racing and motorsports. I've always thought it's like, what would be the feeling of playing in a full stadium, kicking the ball in a full stadium,
even if it's empty,
driving a car at a racetrack?
Sebring, that's a legendary track.
I play Sebring left and right on video games, on Forza. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine just driving it.
So now it goes from not being able to play on the fields, like you're a baseball player, but you weren't really able to play on the same field as the pros. You're just starting. You just want to experience your first track day, and you're running Sebring. You're able to experience Homestead. You're able to experience Daytona.
That's big.
In not many sports, you're able to practice your first day in the same podium or in the same field as the pros. You're basically, you're just starting in the same place as the 1%ers.
Yeah, that's
That's amazing, man.
that's great.
That's why sometimes when you go to your first track day, that bug is gonna bite you so hard that like you just wanna keep on that field, man.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome. Again, Danny, thank you for your time. Thank you for the interview.
Always.
I've learned a lot from Self Motorsports. I mean, like I said, we've known each other for a long time, but this one-on-one really hit it off. You know, so I think we're gonna be
definitely
doing a
bring
lot
your
more.
family this Friday. Now you get to like experience it yourself.
That would be cool. That would be very cool. I'm gonna see if I can make it happen.
Heck yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. So here we are at Selfmade Motorsports storage location. Oh, I should have seen that yet. This is where he keeps all the toys, essentially, all the track day cars, and one very special car here. I'm going to show you just about a second. Let's do a little montage. So this car that we're going to show you right now, it's 1 out of 10, give or take. So it's a very low production car. It's a track car by itself. And this thing's insane. You guys got to take a look at this thing. Easy. What do we got there? That's what? A fuel pump? Air pump. Air pump. This is insane. So what is this making? How much horsepower is this making? 654 to the wheels. Rear wheel drive.
And barely weighs 2,000 pounds.
650 horsepower, weighing in at 2,000 pounds. Phew! Talk about a machine. Jesus Christ. Now, do you personally drive this car? Or, huh? Is it customer's car? But this is strictly maintained and prepped by Selfmade Motorsports. This is insane, guys. Wow. Can we hear it? Wait. All right, let's hear a cold start of this beast. Woo! Guys, this thing is loud. Lights. Ooh, look at that. This is a machine right here. Little brake air duct. That's for the brakes, right? Yeah?